If you've hit a plateau and your first instinct is to just train harder, it might be time to look somewhere else. Your mindset. Welcome back to Your Running Coach with GMacSpurr, the podcast that gets real about the mental side of running. I'm Coach G and I help runners like you, especially middle and back of the packers, overcome mental roadblocks and finally feel strong, confident and grounded in their running. If you're new here, hit subscribe and check the show notes for links to join our free Facebook community or inquire about one-on-one coaching. You do not have to figure this out on your own. Let's talk about the plateau, that frustrating moment when you're doing everything right on paper, but your pace hasn't shifted. Your motivation is tanking, and running feels like pressure rather than pleasure. If your first instinct is, I need to train harder, or I must not be doing enough, you're not alone. I hear this all the time, especially from that middle and back of the pack runner group who feel like they're constantly having to prove they belong. But here's the truth, more isn't always better. Sometimes more is just more. We live in a culture that praises hustle, grind, pushing through. So it makes sense that when you plateau, your brain says, train harder, wake up earlier, add a strength block, sign up for another race, or just push through. But if your body's exhausted, if your brain's already on overdrive, if you're dragging yourself out the door with dread instead of drive, then piling more on doesn't create progress, it creates burnout. That instinct to do more often comes from a deeper story, one that says, I need to earn my runner title. If I'm not getting faster, I'm not improving. If I slow down, I'll lose momentum and quit. But here's the thing. These aren't training issues. These are identity issues. And if you don't address the story, the cycle just keeps repeating. I want you to consider this. What if the breakthrough you're chasing isn't about adding more mileage, but removing more mental weight? What looks like a performance issue might actually be a protection mechanism. Your brain is smart, and if it senses you're training from a place of fear, scarcity, or proving, it'll hold you back, not to sabotage you, but to keep you safe. Sometimes what we call a plateau is really just our mind saying, wait, let's make sure this is safe. Let's make sure this is sustainable. You can't bully your way through a plateau, but you can listen to it. You can learn from it, and you can grow, not just as a runner, but as a person. I want to share a quick story from my own running life because I've been there too. Back in 2018, I was training for what I hoped would be a half marathon PB. I was showing up to every running session, ticking every box, following the plan to the letter, but something just fell off. My times were stagnant, my legs were heavy, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So naturally I did what so many of us do. I doubled down, I ran more, added extra strength sessions, pushed harder, and ignored the signals my body was giving me. But none of it worked. My plateau didn't budge. If anything, I started getting slower and achier. My motivation tanked, I got injured, and while I still ran the race, I crossed the finish line like 45 minutes slower than my goal time, feeling miserable, defeated, and like I'd somehow failed myself. Looking back, I wasn't training from joy or confidence. I was training from fear. Fear of being slow, fear of slipping backwards, fear of what it would say about me if I didn't hit that PB. What I really needed wasn't more mileage. I needed more compassion, more rest, and a complete mindset reset. That experience is a big reason why I now coach the way I do, because no amount of hustle can fix a belief system that's quietly telling you that you're not enough, you're not doing enough. I've heard it again and again when I talk with new clients on a consult call. They're trying so hard, they're doing all the things, but you know what? The real shift only happens when they stop trying to be someone else's version of a runner and start embracing their own. Sometimes that means pulling back. Sometimes it means giving yourself permission to rest. Sometimes it means working on the belief that you're already enough, even if the data doesn't reflect the PB yet. Mental rest is just as important as physical rest. Identity work isn't soft, it is foundational, my friend. And often it's the thing that unlocks the progress you've been chasing for months or years. If you'd listened to my last few podcasts, you'll be getting familiar with the journal prompt section, so get your pen and paper out or your notes app. Here are a few questions to sit with. Am I enjoying my training? Starting with the biggie here, be honest with yourself. Are you enjoying lacing up, going out for your run, doing the thing? What do I make it mean when I hit a plateau? Now you can break this up into what it means about me, what it means about me as a runner, what it means about my running goal. What am I afraid will happen if I stop trying so hard? What would change if I believed I didn't have to earn my place as a runner? Oof. Take some time to reflect on these questions, write them down, and if you want, you can bring them over to our Facebook community and share them over there. This is the work we do inside the Runner Identity Project. It's not about pushing harder, it's about thinking differently. It's about running smarter. And it's about finally seeing yourself as the runner you already are. In TRIP, we redefine progress. We untangle performance from self-worth, and we help you build a sustainable, joyful, shame-free relationship with running that actually lasts. If this resonates with you, the waitlist is open. Head to the link in the show notes. And if today's episode landed for you, come say hey in the Your Running Coach by GMacSpurr Facebook group. That's where we keep these conversations going with zero shame and a whole lot of support. Plateaus aren't proof that you're failing. They're an invitation to grow differently. You're not behind, you're just building something deeper. And that, oh my friend, that's where the magic happens. Happy running. Bye for now.